This is Border Crossings. On today's show, we welcome Australian duo Melinda Kirwin and Simon Rudston-Brown into the studios. Better known as The Falls, the two singer-songwriters started off as a romantic couple, but soon they discovered they were better off as performing partners on stage rather than partners off stage. So the romance ended, but the collaboration continues. The Falls are promoting their new EP, Into the Fire. They join us in Studio 4 on today's show. Stay tuned. It's Border Crossings and The Falls coming up.
Roller coaster.
Welcome to Border Crossings. Once again, my name is Larry London, and on our show today, we have a beautiful duo all the way from Sydney, Australia, who come and join us today. Into the Fire is the name of the new EP. We'd like to welcome Falls to D.C. and to the Voice of America. Welcome.
Thank you, Larry.
We have Simon and Melinda, and it's great to have you here. And first of all, I have to cover the obvious because the bio that I read about you guys starts off with stating that you once had a romance and you no longer have a romance.
Yes.
So sometimes people tend to avoid that stuff when asked, are you two, an item or something?
Yeah.
You put it out there. You want to just get that out of the way right away.
Well, everybody always asks us.
Mm-hmm.
Every gig we play, someone asks us if we're going out or if we're brother or sister, and I guess we decided that what happened between us was such a big part of our songs. It came out in our songs, everything that we've been through, and we decided it was an important story to tell.
It's amazing that you also managed to, even going through that and being relatively new, I mean, this is your first EP is out, that you're able to determine, let's stick together and let's weather this, let's keep this going.
I think it was by default. We booked the studio and we were going to go make this record, and we were breaking up and it was horrible, and we just decided that we should do it. And I think by the time the EP was finished, we'd gotten through a lot of stuff anyway, and we loved the EP and thought it would be sad to lose everything.
Right.
So music is the one thing that's kind of kept everything together the whole time. So
was it a challenge to record an album which probably has a lot of songs that were written when everything was great romantically, and then all of a sudden they're not great, but we're singing these songs we wrote before?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard process. The studio was a lot of very emotional time, I guess.
the moment, I think sometimes for us, even when we're writing songs, the content of the lyrics and what they really mean, sometimes we don't really think about it when we're writing, and when you're listening back through those cans and hearing the other person sing those lyrics, that's, for me, when it really hits you. And there were moments that were really hard, but I guess that's something, I guess that's why we wanted to tell the story of what happened to us, because our songs are very, I guess, emotional, and and we wanted people to understand where they came from. And
well, it's tremendous that you guys are able to put all that stuff aside and still, you know, work together as professionals, because that's it's hard to do even under the best of circumstances. So
we do our best.
Why did you call yourself Falls? How did that name come out of all of this?
Well, it kind of came from, there was a book called Falls, The Falls, and there was also Melinda's from Darwin, so there's a lot of waterfalls up there, and we used to, it was just a sort of a word that became associated with our visits up to Darwin, and then we were thinking of a name, and we wanted something simple that didn't kind of have it didn't have a connotation itself, and that was a kind of a simple word.
It wasn't too descriptive, and it felt like us.
Yeah.
I guess we wanted something kind of, very open and
natural sounding.
Now, do you have a place in the U.S. that you're living in as well as back in Australia, or is this your first time here? Or
Well, we kind of live here. We've been on the road since we arrived in January, and but we're going back to LA now. So we're going to be living in LA for a little while.
Yeah, and you just signed with Verve, so congratulations on that. That's
Thank you.
That's a nice, sweet deal to have.
It is.
Oh,
A
it's
big label like
amazing.
Verve, yeah. And so you guys write all your own music and produced your own music, most of it, and produced the new EP?
We worked with a wonderful producer back in Australia called Tony Buchan, and he did the string arrangements on the EP as well. And it was wonderful working with him on this record.
Could you describe, I mean, how do you feel your sound, your style, your music fits into today's music? Where do you see yourselves?
I guess we're kind of folk. Americana. We've always associated ourselves with that alt country movement that's come out of this country, and I think I'd describe us as that.
Yeah, because you're listed alongside of Lumineers and of Monsters and Men, and so which is a sound that's very appealing and very relevant today.
Yeah,
very current. So we've got Falls in our studio. I'm going to ask you guys if you wouldn't mind singing a song for us.
Sure.
Here on the Voice of America. It would be great to hear from you. Border Crossings is the program. We've got Simon and Melinda. Falls.
Tell her I'm walking like I'm dreaming. Tell her I'm careful what I say. Tell her I'm heading for forgiveness. And I know it's rough some days. Tell her I've been walking in circles and I got lost on the way. Tell her I'm heading for forgiveness, and I know it's rough some days. So please, don't you let her go to waste. And please, don't you let her get away. Don't you let it go to waste. And the days of searching are numbered, and the nights of doubt are gone. So the roads, they lead me back to her. So please, don't you let it go to waste. And please, don't you let it get away. Don't you let it go to waste.
Wow, sounding great. Falls here on the Voice of America. And I assume that song is on your EP?
It is.
What's it called?
It's called Please. It's the opening track.
And what's the story behind it when you wrote that song together?
I guess this song's a really important one for us on the record because it's one of the first songs we ever wrote together. So it's the first song on the EP too. So I'm glad it made it.
And you both were doing music, obviously, before you met, before this project. And similar sound, similar style? Was it always this kind of music?
Well, we'd
Not at all,
actually
really.
never sung before we did The Falls.
Wow.
We were both musicians and we met studying music at the Conservatorium in Sydney. And Simon was studying guitar. Jazz guitar. And I'm classically trained on woodwind. So the music we were doing beforehand was quite different, but the music we listen to is the music that we're playing now. So,
and right now there's a lot of influence from Australia on the pop scene. 5 Seconds of Summer from Australia. They're doing very, very...
Loaded.
Yeah, they have. They're from Sydney, and I've heard them say the girls could care less about us there. But now here in America, they've become, hugely successful. Yeah. And there's other artists, many other artists. I don't know if Sia is from Australia. She's huge right now and in demand. So you're right at the right time in the right place.
Yeah, there's a lot of us over here now.
A lot of Australia. They're taking over.
Yeah.
Australian invasion.
Do you miss your food? Do you miss the home cooking when you're here in the U.S.?
I miss the coffee.
The coffee. Better coffee in Australia?
I don't want to start a riot, but yes.
That is funny. That is very funny.
The food over here is great.
I have had one of the best coffees I've ever had over here in New York City.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But you can't find Vegemite.
You can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
If you know the right people, you can get anything.
The right people. Well, I know that you guys played the South by Southwest Music Conference. That's huge. That's a gigantic music event. You had a good time there? Despite the tragedy that took place this past year, did you have a good time otherwise?
South by Southwest was amazing for us because it's kind of like a marker in time. We came out for the very first time to America for South by Southwest last year. And we were an unsigned band back home in Australia. And so for us, a lot has happened within that year between our first visit to the States and that first visit to South by and then coming back this year. So
And then into the studio to work on the full studio album.
Yeah, that's really exciting for us, going to make our first full-length record.
And so what will that be about? Will it contain some of the songs or all original different songs that we're hearing on the EP? Or
we haven't decided yet.
We've been writing a lot, so there's a lot of new material. We'll see how it all...
And we're finding there's a lot of songs about this country and us coming here. And
really?
Yeah. So I think in the next month we'll get a better idea of what this record's really going to be about. But we're already noticing we've been influenced a lot by the time we've spent here and the people that we've met. And I think there's often a lot of themes of missing home as well. So,
So what is it that drew you to want to come to America to perform and have the people in America hear your music?
I don't know. It's always just been a sort of something to aspire to.
On your checklist.
And
you know what? The
America,
music that we love.
England, Germany.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's more that the music that I love and the music that's influenced us and where we've ended up all comes out of this country. And so it's almost been a bit like a pilgrimage. We visited places that were just ideas in the back of our minds. We hung out in Laurel Canyon a little bit when we first got here, and we just went out to Joshua Tree and hung out in the desert before we hit the road again, which was amazing. And yeah, I think that's a big reason for me.
And being an artist who has come from, far away from Australia to America, and you've spent on the road a lot of time, have you been in New York and Los Angeles to compare the differences between the two places? You were saying it's like your hometown versus Sydney, very different. And so New York and Los Angeles here, very different.
They are very different, yeah. I mean, we've spent a little bit of time in New York, but probably more time in Los Angeles because we're based out of there at the moment.
Where's your favorite place so far here in the U.S.?
I have a love affair with New York City. As I'm sure a lot of people do. So I love that city a lot. But we don't really have a favourite city that we've visited yet. We've really loved everywhere we've gone to. But I do have a favourite airport. I love Salt Lake City Airport.
Why so?
It's gorgeous. You can look out and you see the mountains, and it's incredible. So I love going to Salt Lake City Airport, and we've been there a few times.
And I'm sure people listening right now around the world in the various places we're being heard are saying, our airport's gorgeous, come and see us. Yeah, well. So is there a plan for a international tour?
Well,
I hope so, yeah.
But nothing
official.
Locked in.
All right. Well, if people want to extend an invitation, I'm sure you're online on all the social sites, and you have a website too, which would be?
It's fallsofficial.com.
Fallsofficial.com, and people can get the new EP there. And
you can get everything there. It's on iTunes and all the other places.
All right, great.
Music as well.
Yeah. Can you do another song for us?
Absolutely. We thought we might do a new song since we're going into the studio in a month. It's a song called When We Were Young.
Excellent. Falls on the Voice of America.
You smiled hello as we battled the snow,
two strangers in New York. I started a line, my words frozen in time as we turned left on Lafayette. Promise me you would, but you never could. You say you will, but I'm waiting still. Oh, you should have seen me back when we were young and seen me do all those things I've done. You might have loved me back when we were young. As you made your escape, it all seemed too late. I descended the stairs to die, with a whiskey in hand and perhaps some divine plan. You appeared just in time. Promise me you would, but you never could. You say you will, but I'm waiting still. Oh, you should have seen me back when we were young and seen me do all those things I've done. You might have loved me back when we were young. Oh, you should have seen me back when we were young and seen me do all those things I've done. You might have loved me back when we were young. You smiled hello as we battled the snow, two strangers in New York.
Very nice. Lovely. Falls on our program today here on Border Crossings. If you're just tuning in, Melinda and Simon are with us. Into the Fire is the name of the new EP. And so favorite songs that people should be definitely checking out. What would you recommend? In your opinion, what are your favorites on your new EP?
That's always difficult. For me, I think my favorite song on the EP is probably Hollywood. We did a little residency back in Sydney. Every Wednesday night for almost 2 years, we played at a hotel in Sydney called the Hollywood. And it's where we wrote most of these songs. And so I love that song, but it also has a lot of personal significance to me.
Well, that's great. So people look out for the song Hollywood on the new Into the Fire EP. Now, the songwriting process, since we're talking about songwriting, is it typically done with the two of you together? Do you do it? Does he do it?
No, well, we both write. Generally, we kind of write separately together. Separately at the same time.
Separately at the same time. I like
together.
that.
And then we kind of exchange, I guess, ideas, and we kind of pick the ones that we like and then work on them further. And then eventually we do kind of get together and workshop them. But I think the initial ideas are generally done individually.
I'm always fascinated by the songwriting process itself, because I couldn't even sit down and begin to write a poem, let alone writing a song, which is music, and lyrics.
Yes.
What comes first typically with you?
I think we find it kind of comes together. We're definitely led by the music first, but there's usually lyrics that are there from the very first time. There's sounds and words that come out straight away. So every song's different, though, we find. Every song's a little bit of both of us, but the lyrics, we don't have one person that writes lyrics and one person that writes the melodies. Every song is different.
What's the strangest place that ever gave you inspiration for a song?
Oh, that's a hard question.
We have a new song.
Yeah, right.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
She says with reluctance.
Yeah. It's called Argentina, and we've never been to Argentina, but I guess we have an idea of that place, and so I think that's the strangest place we've written a song about.
Only because we have no idea what it's actually like.
Or if our song relates to the country at all. And now I'm very excited to go. So
Yeah, well, there you go. And to sing it
Exactly.
Argentina.
Exactly.
There's a song about it, and they go, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
We don't have anything like that.
Exactly.
But I'm sure that it's an exciting time for you. I mean, Nylon has written great things about you. Radio stations in Los Angeles are talking highly about you guys and saying you're the artists to watch. Harper's Bazaar has said some tremendous things about you. So all of this has got to be so exciting for you.
It is. Yeah.
We are totally living the dream. I actually said when we got off the plane, I was like, it's true. God bless America. We're living the American dream. We've come out here and we're just having an incredible time. So it's hard to believe.
That's great. And we're, you have a beautiful sound. You really have a great sound. And it's interesting to hear that your background is jazz. That's kind of very different from what it is you're doing.
It is. I mean, I sort of enjoyed jazz because it was a challenge on the instrument, but I'd always enjoyed listening to sort of folk and country music. And I think eventually when I started writing, the writing process, I wasn't writing jazz songs. I was writing sort of folk songs.
Right.
And then eventually that kind of took over, really. But I think it was always good to have that basis in jazz as well. It teaches you about the instrument and, a bit of facility, which is good.
And being a classically trained vocalist, I mean, this has got to be a big transition.
It's very, very different. I actually trained on woodwind, so I'd never sung before we did the Falls. And I guess my story is the same as Simon's. The music we're playing is the music I've always listened to. But I grew up in a small town, and for me, studying music was a way for me to keep doing music. I really didn't know how I was going to... I always knew I loved playing music and that's what I wanted to do with my life, but I really didn't know how that was going to happen. And when I auditioned for the conservatorium and got in, I was like, okay, I'll just go do that for a while, and it means I can keep playing music and I'll see where it leads. And it's pretty great that it's led this far.
Well, how about your future wish list? Are there people you'd like to work with? Are you touring just as a duo, or is there a band, or what's in the plan for the future?
We're touring at the moment as a duo with a string quartet when we can, because the strings are a big part of the EP sound. But moving forward, it would be amazing to be able to travel with a full band, and I think once the record's done and we hear the direction of that, that would be something to aspire to.
Are you tossing names around for the new album yet?
Argentina.
See, there we go.
Yeah.
She said that without hesitation.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming in to do this for us. I know you're going to do another song, so maybe you can tell me about that song.
Oh, we thought we'd play the first single off our EP. And it's called Home. So
all right, here we go.
Play that for
Falls.
Sure feel like escaping, so I hit the road. Not like any other Tuesday, the sun is hanging low. Head feels full of static, and time is standing still. Clouds throw shapes and shadows on my hands on the wheel. And I know it all comes back the moment I get home. Lost on the horizon, blissful in the dawn, swallowed up by history, and all at once it's gone. And I know, yeah, I know, it all comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home. All comes back the moment I get home. Begins to wonder I'm watching it unfold. The thought at once creeping, it seems I'm getting old. And all when those city lights are blinding, back across the bridge, back into acceptance, this is where I live. And I know, yeah I know, and I know, yeah I know, it all comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home. All comes back the moment I get home. It all comes back the moment I get home.
Falls, here on The Voice of America. The new EP is called Into the Fire. It came out in February. It's doing great. I heard you were so excited when you heard you were on the charts.
Yeah.
As you were all over the place. So we're on the chart. We're on the chart.
We get very excited.
Congratulations to you guys, both on all the success you've had and will continue to have, I'm sure. Do you have an idea when the new album will be done and when it'll be out?
It's definitely going to be out next year, so early next year.
All right. Will you come back and see us when it comes out?
Oh,
Definitely.
absolutely. If you'll have us back.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm
We'll
going to
be
hold you to that. So I guess this is your international debut of sorts. I mean, since you haven't been on a world tour yet.
It is.
yeah.
It's awesome. This is the first time we're going live out across the country and the world. So
Yeah. 60 countries are meeting Falls for the first time right now. So
It's amazing.
Thank you, Simon and Melinda, for coming on the show.
No,
Thanks so
Larry.
much for
Thanks
having us.
What a pleasure. Come back and see us when
We
your
will.
album comes out next year. I'm Larry London. It's Border Crossings. Into the Fire is the name of the EP. It's from Falls. We'll be back with more music, so stay tuned.
Music is something that brings people together.
Music educates, it motivates, it's a bridge, it heals.
Music is everything to me.
Music is the universal language.
Music Alley is an umbrella which features several different forms of music programs. Music reaches out and connects with our audience on a personal level like no other communication form.
Our show that is jazz focused is called Beyond Category, and we take a very broad concept of what jazz is, but we look about bringing in the greatest jazz artists working to talk about their music and to hear them play.
Border Crossings is unique in that it lets the listeners decide what we're playing. But we bring in guests so that our audience has access to some of the biggest names in pop music today. And we reach out to the audience each and every day in different ways.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Hamilton Live is a live audience performance. With live music, you have that interaction. There's nothing like getting that immediate feedback from the folks that you're performing to.
Music Alley is such an important part of the Voice of America.
Music has long been one of the most important things that Voice of America does.
Music that comes out of Music Alley is not just an expression of American music, but it's a reflection of world music.
Music
Alley
On
VOA.